All right, welcome to AI Data Mastery, where we explore how AI and data are reshaping B2B businesses. Just want to give a quick thanks to our couple sponsors, Data Accelerator and Evolve with AI. We appreciate you. I'm your host, Jason Renault. Super excited today because today's guest is someone who's turning one of the most complicated parts of businesses, insurance claims and risk management, into something that's smarter, faster, and powered by AI, which is super cool. So Amy Chu is with us today, co-founder of Mobary Technologies, leading the charge in using data, automate, and automations to save companies millions by predicting, preventing, and managing risk before it even happens. And the best part about this is so many of our past guests has been focused on marketing and client acquisition. What I loved about Amy and what she's doing is she's focused on the risk management and using AI to actually save companies money and prevent risky situations before they even happen. So, welcome to the show, Amy. Thank you so much for being here and giving us your time.
Thank you, Jason, for inviting us, or me, actually. So thank you.
No, of course. Thanks for being here. So we talked a little bit on the pre-show, but let's jump right in here because I'm curious, about your background, obviously. But you had mentioned you have a marketing and media background, but yet here you are as an AI business founder. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about how you went from marketing into starting an AI risk management business?
Well, first of all, I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm an entrepreneur by heart.
Okay.
And I started a magazine in my senior year in college for Asian Americans. And one of my proudest moments, even though I did not make a lot of money, and it was through the internet boom, bust, etc., it did go into museum in New York this last year. So it just came out how much it influenced people. And that was something I'm really proud of. I've always wanted to do media, but back then there was not the internet. So I actually went a very different way and started doing e-commerce. I started doing marketing, and I've always feel like technology can help marketing, right? And that's why we were always in this business of marketing, building businesses by using marketing. And how you do that is with technology, whether it was like SEO back then to pay per click to currently AI. And I know that you have done that. But one of the things that I've noticed is there's a lot of inefficient businesses. And my whole background is running a business and trying to make money, whether it is through marketing or operations or saving money. And so took a look at the industry, and it started out with the Fiesta Bowl a long time ago because of an incident. The Fiesta Bowl actually had a case, and it was it paid out at $200,000. The reason why was this woman or kid fell, and they said it was done at the premises. And the premises did not have any photos, had any video, or have anything. So what happened was they had to pay out regardless of whether it was real or not. Come to find out later, the kid was beat up by his dad. And so that's what happened. But they still paid out because they couldn't prove otherwise. So that's one of the risks that people take in events, and that it increases the insurance cost, that increases the liability, that increases everything, and that's inefficient for something. So that it started that way. And my co-founder actually did the incident reporting and for the Pope in Brazil when they had the Pope visiting Brazil, and it is also an incident reporting with the federal police to figure out, hey, is there incidents, capture incidents, and prove that there's something that would happen. It started just as an incident reporting tool. One of our partners heard about what we were doing and asked us, hey, can you take that data and can we prevent those incidents, or can we capture those risks? And we have claims up the wazoo that we need to go look at. So we built them an engine to figure out what the issue were. The biggest thing, and this is a national chains, you can figure it out if you go to our website who our client is. But looked at all their claims and we said, hey, there's this claim. It is going to blow up to $1.2 million if you do not solve it now. And this was 3 to 6 months into the claim. We took a look at that claim and we were going, you need to pay this out at like 100 and some odd thousand dollars. They were like, no, it's about $34,000. And we're like, no, it's going to go to 1.2. 2 years later, it went to $1.2 million. So we were able to see that and we knew the engine was correct. So we used that application to um, look at other cases, general liability, workman's comp. A lot of people actually do workman's comp, but they do machine learning and they do algorithms and they have statistical modeling and they model out all the stuff because they have all the data for medical, they have all the data for um, payouts, they have all the data. Our algorithm, since it's been trained for almost 10 years now, can do it from a few words, from just description, and we would have a loss run as a database ingested in an engine. So it's actually pretty accurate. My husband actually had his leg torn apart by a hostess stand about 2 years ago. The engine, just from a few words like that, had predicted it was going to be the cost would be $170,000. We got a payment about that much, less lawyer fees, and also it actually like added the fees of what the other side had to spend. So it was actually pretty accurate. So our engine is now pretty accurate at looking at that loss.
So this isn't just for like an insurance company looking at claims. This is for normal businesses, operating. So whether you're
Yeah.
have a store, it can evaluate any type of claim against your business to tell you the projected loss that it would give. So if somebody's suing me, if somebody slips and falls in my restaurant, if somebody any
Yeah.
type of incident that could cause a lawsuit or insurance claim against a business is um, what your tool in essence
Mhm.
helps either predict or provide more information on.
Yes. So it predicts, it flags, and it tells you what the loss is. There's that part. We also have a software that also tracks incidents. That's where it started, right? And at that incident level, first notice of loss, it can tell you what this claim is going to cost because everything is a claim, especially workman's comp. It's either a claim of loss of days, working days, even if you're not going to the hospital, even if you have a headache, etc., to it could be a major claim with medical, etc. So yes, business can do it. It's not as efficient for us. We work with collectives or we work with groups that have multiple insurance or even a group with that holds a lot of insurance policies to look at that. So we work with owner operators that own multiple like businesses or multiple franchises across the board. We work with hotels, we work with QSR, and we're starting to work in the trucking sector. So
Oh, so like trucking sector, meaning like fleet vehicles and like transportation, fleets of
yes,
vehicles, things of that nature.
yeah, workman's comp and general liability. It's just to run the data through the engine to see what the general liability is. We're probably the only one of one or one of two that does general liability for this. Most people try to claim they do workman's comp, but that's a little bit different.
Gotcha. So when you say most people, you mean like your competitors
My
basically
competitor.
are solely focused on workman comp claims when
Yeah,
you focus on everything that could possibly
yeah,
affect the business.
yeah. So we do workers' comp, we do general liability, we do property and casualty, etc.
Wow, I'm just thinking of like all of the businesses that could use this. I mean, I know you mentioned like hotels and restaurants and franchises, but I mean, yeah, even like, God, yeah, I'm just thinking there's like,
Well, personally, let me give you a personal story. So the reason why I want to get this company kind of up and to a certain point is I lost my house in the Palisades fire earlier
oh,
this
geez,
year.
I'm sorry to hear that. I had several friends that my kids play lacrosse with that lived in the Palisades area that are still out of their home. Have you been able
Yeah.
to move back in?
No, the home is completely destroyed.
Oh, geez, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So it is something that I want to build this engine up so I can find a carrier that will trust this engine enough to take all the materials of whoever wants to be part of a captive, which is kind of a self-insured group
Ah,
technically, but you still have to have a carrier behind you with all the data, with the underwriting to be able to price insurance at a reasonable cost for people who are rebuilding currently. Because the stay in California is they're not going to raise rates for the next 2 to 3 years, but it's going to take us building our house about 2 to 3 years.
at least, at least it'll probably take you two to
At
three years just to get
least.
permits. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but I mean, let's be honest.
Oh, trust me, I know. I'm in planning and it's ridiculous. But it is going to take about, 3 years, for 3 to 6 really to rebuild the neighbor, depending on which neighborhood, my neighborhood especially, is going to take about 6 years. So in about 3 to 6 years, our insurance rates are going to go up for no reason at all, except we just now are in a fire area. It was not a fire area when we bought the house or moved in, but it is a fire area now because of what happened in in January. Now, I went to InsurTech a few weeks ago, and I talked to people who were underwriters or MGAs, which is managing general agents when they can price out insurance, and they were specifically for wildfires, and they don't believe in the AI engine that they believe in the AI engine when it like adds all the climate and changes and all the impacts, but they don't believe in the AI engine when it can look at a house with a fireproof paint, paneling, or any other like fire resistant materials, not just fire resistant materials, earthquake resistant and tornado materials. That is the new materials are being used right now to prevent fires and give a lower rate. It is now unaffordable to actually hold fire insurance. So
Yeah,
I would like to, with this,
and forget
prove
about
out.
earthquake insurance in California, right?
Yes, but there is materials now that the new builds and the new
So
materials,
what you're
especially
saying is
panelized.
if you can plug in the material, so if you can say, hey, this is how this house was built. We spent the time, energy, effort, and money to build this house correctly. So using these materials that are taking into the account the actual structure itself, not just the location, like give me a better premium than my neighbor who still has the same house with the same shingle roof that's, just basically a
Yes,
big matchbox waiting to go up.
yes,
You should be paying a different rate than that neighbor, basically, is what you're
yes,
saying.
yes, because that's what we do for franchise owners right now. Like what they are pricing. Actually, we're doing it for MGA currently. We do it every year, and they can take a look at different owners. The most owners own several property or several commercial properties and several commercial businesses, even if they don't own the property, and they can tell you. Our engine currently can tell you on a per location basis what your liability will be, and it also accounts for who the owner is.
Gotcha. So it takes it. So let's,
So
for
it's not
inter-
by zip codes. Before it is by zip codes. So if you lived in 90272, it's a fire area or not a fire area, however they determine it, they would rate it. This is the liability, right? It doesn't matter what kind of house you have. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does a little bit with age, but they really don't take account of that. They really don't. And they'll be like, "You're in a fire area. This is the address. This is your insurance." If there was issues in that area amongst what they had insured, so your neighbor could have like a $10,000 issue, even a $10,000 issue that can actually jack up your insurance. That's the whole truth, whether it's commercial or residential. And if they see that in their data and it's from a claim within their own system, they will jack up your insurance quite high because your neighbor had a $10,000 issue. So you're paying for what your neighbor does. Now, if you are a if you fire harden, if you do different things, like if you do different things to a retail structure and you put fire hardening also, or earthquake or floods. Flood is a big thing, right? Flood is a very big thing with companies we work with. Then we can tell you this is the risk, and so we can save you money on that end too. So
So
it,
let's
it
jump.
is both.
Gotcha. So one of the as you're speaking, and one of the recurring things that keeps coming up is with any AI. So you've built this amazing AI algorithm. It's trained over the last 10 years, but how important is the data that goes into the AI engine? And what I'm saying is, I guess the point being is that the data that you put in is extremely important, correct? Because if you're putting in the wrong data or inaccurate data, then you're going to get inaccurate and wrong outputs that could potentially, be catastrophic to a business because they might miss a large litigation or claim that could have been foreseen with the correct data. And I mean, that's the reason why I named the show AI Data Mastery, is because everybody talks about AI, but nobody talks about these AI
Like,
tools literally can't do anything without data. And it's almost, data is almost as equally important to AI as the AI tools and agents themselves, correct?
yes, to a point, right?
Okay.
Because if you are feeding data and you're mislabeling the data, that's a problem. But if your algorithms aren't good enough to train what is not correct data, then your data, even if you input, technically, even if you input the wrong data, unless it's input. Okay, so we use loss runs. We use closed loss runs. We can take closed loss runs with descriptions. So a loss run is slip and fall. It was $200,000, and this was the description. We don't need medical records or anything, and our engine takes jurisdictional, um, climate, all the jurisdictional down to the city, to the judge, to the area, etc. So it does take in those, but there's so many issues, that so much data that you can't do yourself to figure out if this is going to go sideways, because most of it's like, in the past, insurance was statistical modeling, and you'll model out the issue, and that's just data also, right? But we're taking that data and putting it one step further and adding other fractions of data. Now, if it's wrong, then the engine now will actually ignore it, because it's not a statistical model. It's not modeling. It is AI. True AI is learning. And so it's learned so much that it doesn't, even if I put uh wrong data, now it'll flag it as wrong.
Gotcha. That's interesting. So what you're saying, but in order for that algorithm to learn and get to the point of where it's at, it's had to evaluate and analyze a lot of data. But I think what you're saying is that the data that, say, the consumer, like if I were to buy your software, the data I put in is important, but there's also, or it's less important because the algorithm has learned so much already and can also go and expand and crawl the internet and every type of open public
Yeah.
source to find data on its own, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because you're thinking linearly, as like with LLM models, right? You're training LLM models, or you're training those kind
Uh,
of models. And yeah, input is very important, right? It could be like what happened with Grok. It had bad inputs. So that's what happens, right? But that's because you're training an LLM model, and it's training through that kind of data. This is a little bit different, because it's not learning based on language or based on personality. It's based on like what is in the past, but it's adding other factors into it to actually project what needs to happen. Because so here's the thing, it learns like what a older, more a claims adjuster has been in the industry for over 15 years versus somebody who is like just starting. And it learns over time, and it has learned over time. And so basically, it's not a 2-year-old claim adjuster, it's a 15, 20-year-old plus claim adjuster now. So the data is just based on learning those cases, but even more so. For instance, when you have like a slip and fall that is litigated or has a lawyer, you're going through about 6,000 pieces of communication. About 80% of that is from somebody who's filing the claim. 20% of that is from the claim adjuster. That means it's 57 hours of like reading and 38 hours of writing. LLM can handle that, but how do you know if that case is even important enough to handle? It has to flag somewhere. And currently, the old the regulated insurance industry right now will take a look at that and flag for they're now using LMs to flag, which is good. That's at least the first step. But they can't tell if that's going to cost $100,000 or $20,000 right now. They only have statistical modeling to do that based on old cases and not based on any other elements in that area, like jurisdictional issues or um, just public sentiment, etc. So you can take that in our engine, and then you can actually project this is what it can cost, especially if you leave it longer. Because if you leave it longer, you're including all the like lawyers, the investigators, that's what's the cost. It's not necessarily even the medical cost. It's just all the fat in between. So that's your main cost, and that's what is driving insurance costs up. Um it's interesting that way. We don't deal with medical, so we don't look at like the medical bills, and we don't look at the like what is the actual like dollar amount for cotton balls. But uh we were no, seriously. So
No, no,
I
I just chuckled because it was kind of funny, but yes, I understand.
I'll tell you, Trevor Noah, we just saw him, and he was saying he's so thankful for insurance because he has a broken wrist, and he got such a big bill, and he's like, they charge you for every glove. Like,
Yeah,
it's so
every Q-tip and
obnoxious.
cotton swab is literally charged for.
And that's not regulated. And a cotton swab could be $10. A cotton swab can be five
I've I,
cents.
I've
There's
seen
no
things on social.
regulation.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff on social media. So mind you, I don't know how 100% accurate it is, but it shows like a cost of a Band-Aid is like a fraction of a penny, like 2 cents of a penny to produce the Band-Aid, but then the hospitals charge upwards of $10 per a Band-Aid. It's like a 1,000,000% increase. And yeah, it's just crazy how the billing and everything has just gotten so insane, for lack of a better term, just completely blown out of proportion.
So that's the same thing with a claim, right? A claim gets so blown out of proportion because of all this cost in the middle and all this bloat in the middle. And it just, the more time you have it, the more bloat it's going to have.
And the more bloat, let's be honest, the more bloat is going to cost a bit. The only people that get rich off the bloat are the attorneys and everybody going back and forth in the middle, right? Those are the ones who they want the litigation, they want the claims, they want the arguing back and forth, because the more two sides are arguing, going back and forth, the more they're billing for their time and every staple and pen that they use as well. That's interesting. So not that
It cuts that
not,
out.
I
And
was
it
going to
cuts
say,
that out.
you're cutting the bloat, and you're like, hey, with the bloat and the potential, like you said in the beginning, this could be a $1.2 million payout for you. Send them the 100 grand or the 120 grand now, call it a day, and let's move on with life.
Yep.
Very, very interesting.
Because I'll tell you, like, we only got a fraction of what we got for our payout, like for what the engine. But I know that the rest is bloat, and a lot of it is, the defense attorneys are now adding hours to so their clients because they want to make the money. So there's just so much bloat. There's so much bloat. It's crazy.
Yeah, I like that word. So much bloat. It's crazy. I don't know if that'd be the best tagline
Yeah.
for you, but you could be like, it's the most simplest way to put it, right? Make it so a fourth grader can understand it. It's like, yeah, we cut out the bloat of claims and litigation. That
So I came up with, so we look at it and we're like, which claims will go sideways? Some of it's easy to take care of it, and some of it's like, hey, this is something you need to watch, right?
wow.
And then for bigger corporations, it might be okay. I don't know where Starbucks is in this particular litigation, but they had to pay like 8 million, 80 million for lids because the lids were all to this one Uber driver or Postmate driver, etc. This was earlier this year, and they have 80 people a day, I think, calling the call center complaining about lids and how it falls off. I'm not one of them, but I've had issues with Starbucks lids for the last 3 years. And they probably took a look at their balance sheet and it's like, yeah, even with this $80 million case, I don't have to change all the lids. It could have cost them 200 million. I don't know, but that's they're willing to take the risk, and that's what happened.
It's funny that you say that. I feel like every Starbucks I walk into, because I mean, we travel all over the East Coast with my kids' lacrosse and stuff, but I feel like every Starbucks, the cup is different, the lid's different, the straws are different. It's like, you can't get consistent. It's like, yeah, everywhere you go there. Well, I mean, I know in some counties you need paper straws versus plastic straws and things like that, but it's like,
Yeah.
yes, different types of lids. But to your point, little things like that is, hey, this is an $80 million, or it's going to cost you 200 million to get rid of our entire lid inventory and replace it. So they're like, we'll take the 80 million versus the 200 million, but that's a educated business decision that they wouldn't have normally had all the data on or been able to make that educated of a
Yeah.
decision without the help. Well, this has been phenomenal. I mean, completely different than some of my past guests, which I love because it's a completely different spin on AI and data and how it's being used, but in a very practical and useful manner. I mean, I can't imagine, at this point, what type of business would not want to utilize this service and software, especially larger businesses, multiple locations. What about like home services businesses, like contractors and things of that nature, where you have like litigation with a discrepancy in if the job was done or the job was done incorrectly, or uh, can it
That's
handle?
a that's a little different because I think, especially in like contractors, etc. I mean, there's a lot of cameras, and you have to. That's that's more civil. I mean, it's all civil, but it is a different type of liability, and it's
Gotcha.
harder to like look at. It's harder to price because it's professional liability. That
Yeah,
falls
and
into
then
professional liability, and it's a little bit different.
as I was asking the question in the back of my mind, I was thinking that also falls a little bit into like personal discrepancy, where they're like, hey, this wall was supposed to be smooth, and the contractor saying, hey, it's smooth, and the person saying,
Yeah,
no, it's not smooth enough, and it's like,
yeah.
that's it's not black and white. There's probably a lot of gray area in those type of situations that would be tough to calculate and compute.
Yeah. But one of the, I mean, a lot cameras and surveillance has helped a lot, and it's not that as expensive that as you would think. I know a company who's helping people in the Palisades and other people. They would have a camera on your property while the contractors are doing things, so they can track progress, track materials, track if they're doing it correctly. And so that is interesting to me because I've been talking to them to see if people who are doing that, who want insurance later, keep the footage, ingest it into AI, and then let the AI understand the risk because
So that
yeah.
No, I was going to say, you brought up some of your clients recently, or some of your newer clients. I think you had mentioned are in like a fleet transportation, so multiple delivery trucks or a fleet of fleet of trucks. And that made me think
Yeah.
one of our current clients does the video recording on the, the GPS and video recording and
Mhm.
things of that nature. So what you're saying is all of that can be, all of that data, not just on the vehicle itself and the driver, but on, how, if you can look at the GPS and it's like, hey, this guy's average speed is 5 miles an hour over the speed limit or
Yeah.
whatever else you can, you can calculate or figure out or derive from that data, is all,
Yeah.
extremely
You could
powerful.
ingest anything, right? It's just if your algorithm is good enough to learn. And I mean, our algorithm is pretty solid that it can go across the board for anything. It's just what we feed it and what we want it to do.
Yeah,
But it's
exactly.
not, yeah. But we use LLM, we use the open AIs, we use the Claudes, we use the Perplexity to do like translate the information into like natural language. Because you still need it to have a ease of use for normal people and not scientists.
Yeah, exactly. You still got to translate it to the yeah, like as you put the normal people that
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. A nice way to put it. The less educated or the normal people.
Well, I mean,
um
people, yeah. I mean, not everybody's a mathematician or a data analyst or
exactly. Not everybody knows how
yeah,
to code. And mind you, I'm one of those people. I have business partners that are, the technical or techie side of things that know all the different acronyms and, the techie side of things, so to speak. So yes, that's,
yeah.
I wasn't trying to insult anybody. I am one of those people.
Oh, I'm one of those people too. Trust me. I listen to our chief analytics officer, who is he's the head of math in Indiana, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I
exactly,
can't.
exactly.
I don't understand any of these formulas. Just let me know if the algorithm can or cannot do this. That's all I want to know.
Yeah, just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Can we
Yeah.
do this or not?
Yeah.
Well, very
Exactly.
cool. Well, I really appreciate your time here. This has been a phenomenal episode. I feel like our audience, there's no way they're this far into the episode and haven't learned something new about their business, a way to protect their business, about insurance claims and things like that. And really phenomenal episode. Thank you so much for being here. Any last thoughts or anything before we sign off?
I think for people looking for solutions, especially for AI solutions, is know what you want, um, and what your results, what you want as a result, right? Do you want to save money, save time, save, and then see if the solution really works for you? I think that's really important for people these days, and see if it's really AI or if it's just something you can do off of ChatGPT at this point.
Yeah, well, exactly. There's a lot of, hey, this AI, and it's literally just a chat GPT prompt that they're selling you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, that's really good, solid advice to wrap up here. And then one last question, as a fellow entrepreneur, is there like a really good podcast that you tune into and listen to on a regular basis that you feel helps you either stay motivated, stay in a good mental state, help you with business? What's a podcast recommendation if you listen to podcasts?
I really like Kara Swisher. She's great. Do you know her?
Okay. No,
She's
actually,
like
that's a
she
new one. I haven't heard of that one.
Oh, I'll send you the link. She's great. She's always in the know. She just had a futurist on her podcast. I think she was doing it through one of the conferences, but she used to or still runs Recode, and she just knows tech. She knows future. She looks at everything in a different sarcastic way, but she is really good. She's one of the people I
You
like to
said
listen to.
Cara Fisher?
Yeah, Swisher.
Perfect. Swisher. Okay, perfect. Thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying. I'll look that one up and check it out for sure. I appreciate the recommendation. I'm glad I asked because you always try to learn something, or I try to find, I listen to the normal ones, your Ed Milet's and some of those, but I like to find the kind of unique, unique ones as well that maybe aren't as mainstream or as popular, but still provide a lot of value.
No, she's actually pretty mainstream, and she's been in the tech world for a very long time since, I mean, she was there with Google, she was there with, I mean, too. She's there with Elon, she's there with she's her now ex-wife was Obama's like chief tech person. So,
Oh, wow. I'll definitely check it out. Thank you so much for the recommendation. And thank you so much for being here. For everybody listening and tuning in, we appreciate you listening and following along. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you are a fellow business owner that you feel you could benefit from Amy and her services, I'll make sure all of the information, all her information's down below in the show description. So thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Find us on social media. Reach out to Amy if you feel she can help. And we'll talk to everybody again soon. See you in a few days for the next episode. And thanks again, everybody. Take care.